video. Morning, Jim.
Morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing this morning? Fair. Totally fair. Hey, you guys had a split fest this weekend, though.
Oh, very cool.
Or no, what was it called? Silverfest.
Silverfest.
Silverfest. Did you host Silverfest this weekend at the Grand?
We did.
Awesome.
It went extremely well.
Excellent. Well, this is the Finance Committee meeting. It is October 16th. The time is 9:06. And we currently have Trustee George is absent today, but if you all are okay continuing on. Okay, great. All right, so first on our agenda is sales tax. So I included our 1% sales tax that we receive as well, just to give you guys the full scope. And it is still on my list to be able to combine these two in the future. But right now I wanted to kind of show you the full amount. We did receive, I'm still actually looking into this to make sure there's not an anomalous payment that we're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy for this time and we'll see it deducted next time. But so far I can't find any like giant payments that we would need to anticipate being taken out next year. Any questions on our sales tax?
Kind of remarkable.
Cool. All right. Going down to our accounting update, an update from the August meeting. We've had some opportunities to really look at how we're functioning with our finances. And one of the things that we've looked at is our current accountant, who I think has been with us probably for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
And looking to switch to a new accountant. And this switch really came about when our previous clerk left and we didn't have a lot of standard operating procedures from that position. So we reached out to Lorraine's firm to see if she would help us kind of through some of those transition periods. And when I was talking with her, I realized, oh, she does accounting as well, and like remote finance, like a consultant finance direction. So it looks like when she did her proposal, she's a lot less expensive than our current accountant. So we are looking at transitioning to a new accountant. Questions or concerns on that one?
This made a lot of sense to me. It seems like we get a lot of really great value by having a relationship with someone that has all this expertise that we can capitalize on when we need it. Instead of, having on staff a full-time finance director or something, this really gives us that benefit of having someone in our back pocket.
So far, they're wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, and so we've been assigned to Michelle Duran, who actually has property here in Silverton as well. So she has a vested interest here and was really excited to come in person so she could see her land and then also help us out.
Great.
So,
Yeah.
really neat. All right, and then we're looking at purchase cards. This will kind of create more. Currently, right now, we have a one admin credit card, which we have a sign out procedure for, but it still doesn't tell us where they went or what they spent. And so as we were doing some reconciliation from the beginning of the year, it was really hard to track down who had spent that money. Purchase cards is something that we used in the city of Durango. We actually talked to them about their purchase card policy and how that worked. And we were thinking of kind of trialing this for the admin card first to see how it works. We can always just shut them off. They are like debit cards, but they are issued to the individual employees. So that gives us a lot more accountability on what was spent and gives Melina like a place to start with when she gets a receipt on who to start to look back on. Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense. So we just start with one I know in your memo, you said that there's currently one for library. We have cards for.
Yeah, I don't see it necessary for the library at this
No, I
point.
think
Yeah.
Misty is really the only one that is using that card. And so if I can't find something, I can just call Misty.
Yeah.
It would really more just be for admin and then maybe a second public works card
Yeah.
if he wanted to have Justin or one of his senior guys have a purchase card. But really it's more for here. Or I think that we should have one for building department, one for clerk's office, one for Nathan for communications, one for, that way we just have a little easier time keeping track of what money is going where.
Yep. It's also a burden when someone in admin tries to purchase something and the card has been taken to Durango.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, this makes a lot of sense, I think. Any concerns, Jim, comments?
Well, this is standard operating procedure.
yeah. And I wanted to run it past you all and to let you know that we are coming up with a policy and waivers to sign for their purchasing cards. And coming up with those penalties as well. We kind of adopted them from other communities as far as like first offense, second offense, third offense.
Yeah.
But having that all laid out, I think will really help us with administering this program. And then another thing we're looking at is interest-bearing accounts. So looking at how we're holding our funds in our accounts. And there's a technique that some municipalities use. I was actually just talking to the town of Rico this morning. Chauncey was looking into this and how to basically have a higher interest-bearing account where we have our monies. Since we do receive a lot of our monies in the summer, sometimes we don't use those monies right away. So putting them away in a high interest-bearing account that allows us to pull from it. Colo Trust is one that works just with local governments. And I'm getting their rates right now. I already received the rates from Bank of San Juan's and what they could offer us. And as far as like looking at the withdrawals and all of that. So you might be seeing a resolution come here soon. Chauncey and I are actually looking at how to draft the resolution on basically being able to transfer those funds. We know our basic costs for the month. And so we could transfer out, transfer in, and then have that money gaining interest for us. So we've done some estimates and could increase our revenue by at least 50,000 with kind of moving them around correctly. So always looking for ways to create more revenue. And this seems just like a very straightforward way to do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And are there any fees or penalties with withdrawals or transfers?
With Colo Trust, there aren't. So that's why I'm looking, I'm actually meeting with them either this afternoon or tomorrow. I forget which day, but double checking what their interest rates are.
Yeah.
Because Bank of San Juan said it's 5% right now, but that's subject to change, and they have a restricted amount on what you can withdraw within the month. Colo Trust, I know, doesn't have a restricted amount of withdrawals that you can do in a month, but I'm not sure their interest rates yet.
Yeah.
Any questions on that one? And then the bathroom trailer, Elk Creek Trailers, it's who sold it to us. And we got a quote and they're listing it on their website for 70,000, which is exactly what we paid for it. I don't think we'll get that much. And we will be listing it locally as well. But that's kind of the starting, looking into selling that trailer.
Have they appreciate? I didn't think bathroom trailers would appreciate, but
I know.
I mean, how much is a new one now?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, if they're listing it for 70,000 used.
I know. I think we made
Good
it.
investment.
Yeah, good investment. We'll recover our funds. Maybe not all of them, not to the full 70,000, but wouldn't that be great if someone found it for that? So. And then I have not been able to prioritize the research on the tiny homes utility discount research. And I would ask that we kind of wait hold that conversation until we have a rate study back, to really get an idea of what a discount would look like if we were to give one.
And again, what's our timing on the rate study?
We're
think-
hoping by the end of this month, but we are running into a couple of snags with some reports running in Cassell. So hopefully we can get those all done by the end of October.
Are you still waiting for a report on disconnected
Yeah.
from Anna?
Mhm.
Okay.
So those are our just day-to-day finance stuff that I wanted to run past y'all.
Great.
Cool. All right. Okay, going on to finance, nonprofit and partner requests. So the nonprofit request, we finalized it all in August. But I didn't get it into the standard until the 21st, 28th, and October 5th. So it was in for 3 weeks. It was announced prior in our meetings. But the thing I didn't do this year was reach out to all the nonprofits and send them the form, which I've done the last 2 years. This year, I just didn't have time to do that. So I did accept, there's a Silverton Farmers Market application that came in a little after the deadline last week. And I know that there are some other organizations that might be putting in, but I'm not sure who they are or what they're asking for. But it seems like it kind of caught people by surprise this year. But it was the same timeline as the last 2 years. So I was hoping kind of people were trained by now and able to keep up with that. So wanted to talk to you all about if we should keep that open for a little longer, or if we should just keep a hard deadline there. And then the total requests, amending what is in our finance packet, our total request is 25,000. That includes the Silverton Farmers Market for $9,000. So that's 4 entities now that have applied. It's a little concerning because we've received 14 applications in the past, and we received 4 this time. Any thoughts on that? Like, as far as if I should keep that open longer, or
Maybe you should put a PSA out.
I mean, that's what we did.
I know we already did.
I know.
Jim, you were gonna say something?
Oh, I was just clearing my throat. I apologize.
Oh,
It's alarming that we had such a dramatic drop off. My suggestion would be give it another week or so, but I understand if we don't.
Okay.
Maybe give those folks time to catch up.
I mean, I could put another announcement in the paper this week saying it's been extended 1 more week. And try and get more participation for you all to review.
You go throw some flyers up at the grocery store and the post office. It's like, hey, you have 1 more week to do this. We can crank up pretty quickly.
are we able to email some of our partners from last time? Is that doable this week?
Yeah, we could do that this week.
I don't have a problem with extending the deadline. I mean, how does this relate to kind of our budget review process? Like, could we extend the deadline?
So the thing is, the finance committee wouldn't be able to review prior. So what we were going to review with the trustees on November 6th. During our work session on November 6th for this. So
so it might just mean that we do it all as a town board instead of the finance committee first.
Right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're leaning towards extending the deadline.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think we budgeted for this. It's in line with our priorities.
Okay. I'll put that announcement in the paper and then I'll send emails out to last year's applicants,
Mhm.
if that works. Right. And then did we have any comments or any follow-up that would be needed on the applications that are presented in there?
I didn't have any, I mean, the ones that were in front of us, I would have thought they were similar to what we funded last year and very much in line with all of our priorities. I think the theater group, seeing how much momentum is going on there and really that work there. Yeah, so all of it felt I felt comfortable with.
Okay.
Again, if we get $75,000 worth of requests in the next week, that could change our conversation. But
Yeah. But seeing if there's anything missing that I need to follow up with the organization on prior to meeting.
I didn't have anything.
Okay.
Well, my one question for the Snow and Avalanche Center was there was the station cost or the calibration equipment cost, and then the 1,500 was kind of the staff time for monitoring, you think? Yeah, okay. Just clarifying the 1,500.
Okay, I will double check with them that that's staff time.
Well, and you don't even have to, I was just curious.
And then we did receive another request from the Silverton Creative District. I did forward that on to you all. Basically this year they're asking for a total of 30,000. So that would be 10,000 more than what we had budgeted for. After Lisa and I met, she met with her board and they were like, actually, we kind of need more, which I think
Yeah.
Shane already had an insight too, because he was like, I'm thinking more around 30,000.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just wanted to prep you for that. They are going to be presenting at the 23rd meeting and with their budget requests. So wanted to prep you all for that one.
yeah, I think we get a lot of value from investing in that organization, you know, like we're not staffing the position at town hall in the same way. And I think that it really extends our capacity. And in 5 years, they've really demonstrated their ability to be a real thriving institution. And I think for me personally, I think they check a lot of the boxes for a partner and just matching the master plan, right? Like they do a lot of activities that both support and cultivate local energy, local engagement, as well as like events and activities that really help foster the local economy. So I think there's a lot of value there, but we can have a greater discussion when they present.
Perfect. All right. And the last thing I have on our agenda is just if we wanted to talk anything about the budget, I always want to leave that on there, especially during budgeting season. I know we had our discussion with the board on the 9th, the 11th, the 9th, October 9th. My deadline was the 11th. On the first draft that was presented. And we did receive some citizen feedback from Jessie Rowe as far as, and she does budgeting for like multi-million-dollar companies, but had some really good points in there on how to organize it and just wanted to get any feedback on that. Or if you all wanted another budget presentation to the board, if you felt like we needed that, just wanted to put that out there on how you're feeling about the budget process going forward.
I appreciated Jesse's suggestions. I think it seems in line too with kind of like where you'd like to go with how we organize and think about our budget and think about how we present it. With our meeting last time, it felt very much like an in-depth kind of line item, kind of gut check. Does everything here feel transparent and accountable? I don't quite feel like we've had the board discussion on really all of our priorities. Again, we sort of touched on that at the last meeting. I'm like, okay, long-term, or at least in this moment, we're spending, our expenses are greater than our revenues. How do we think about that in this moment? And then how do we think about that going forward? And I don't feel like we quite had the conversation around like, okay, or is everything here in our line item budget in line with our priorities, in line with how we all want to spend the funds that we've been given? And so I think Shane kind of alluded to that, like we did a line item review, but we didn't really kind of step back and say, okay, big picture. Yeah, is this how we all prioritize? And I'm not quite sure how we want to facilitate that or present that or discuss that, but my sense was that we thought that was kind of coming as a next part of the discussion.
Great.
Or else hearing from you how kind of you see it moving forward as far as the process goes.
Okay. There is one more work session I would like to throw in there at some point to talk about that, because we don't have a current work session planned. So I'm looking at maybe the first meeting in November, tacking on, I think that's the 13th, is tacking on a work session there.
Specific to the budget.
Specific to the budget and those priorities. When I looked at our budget work session on the 6th, that's planned for the first Monday of the month. That might be an opportunity too, if we don't get a lot of nonprofit requests. We could, do part of it nonprofit and then the rest on our priorities and budget. So I'll kind of keep that fluid until we get closer to that date, because we'll have 3 weeks between meetings after this next meeting.
Because of Thanksgiving?
No, just the way it
Oh,
falls.
yeah.
Every now and then we get 3 weeks between meetings, which is nice to get off the hamster wheel for a week. Thoughts, Jim? All right.
Do you have any other thoughts or input based on the budget discussion or?
No, I feel like I did receive feedback to kind of organize it a little bit more with the priorities, and have some notes here. I would go through revenues, potential revenues, and the items that were open for discussion. So I flagged those.
Great, yeah. And Jim, I can't remember if I told you this or if I said it in the meeting, but I was just thinking maybe post this budget season, I would really love to see the finance committee kind of have a discussion around other revenue ideas. Again, we have the sales tax, just continue to think about diversification. And so I think that could start in the finance committee and then bump that up to the larger board. But, and again, it doesn't have to happen in this budget cycle because we're busy with actual numbers, but thinking to the future, how the town thinks about diversifying and other revenue sources that maybe we haven't explored in a while.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. We
No,
talking
no,
about
no.
anything on the table. What are our options around real estate transfer taxes? What are our options around thinking about different impact fees? What are our options around our current lodging fees and structures? Just kind of like having a discussion around the whole gamut and kicking things around, having a debate discussion on what our options are, and whether that looks like things we put before the voters, fees that we can incorporate in our current structure, just kind of talking philosophically for the future. And obviously, like our wastewater treatment funding and all that is kind of separate, but just sort of thinking about revenues in the future. I don't know, maybe you have ideas.
We can certainly address them all. I don't think anything is off the table, but I am certainly not in favor of just increasing taxes and creating new taxes to fund all sorts of projects. I just don't, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I don't, and it's something when I worked with the folks down in Durango, voicing my opinion about nickel and diming the public so that we can do other things on the government level. It ends up hurting instead of helping long term. But yeah, I think anything's on the table, and if we can find creative ways, I'm all about creativity.
Great.
All right. Any other comments on finances? And we are almost caught up with all of our actuals. I think probably by the end of this month, we'll be fully caught up, which we're very excited
Feel
about.
good, yeah.
Yeah,
By the end of this week, I should have September done.
yeah, and which is right on time. So,
Great. That always feels good when you know where the money is going and coming.
yeah.
I worked on our home budget this weekend. I was like, okay, I know where everything is.
Yeah, great. Always feels good. Yeah. All right, so if there's anything else, we can adjourn at 9:32 a.m. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, Jim.